Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Weekly Game Chat. I'm your host, Chris, joined by John.
Hello, Chris. How are you?
Pretty good. Sean is, I think he's in the car on his way to South Carolina, right?
Well, I thought he was, on his way to South Carolina yesterday. I thought that's when he left.
No, because he was working today.
Oh, was he there to work today?
Yeah, he was just saying, like, right after yesterday, he had
yes, that's true.
Birthday
That's
party
true.
with his daughter.
So it never even occurred to me to take him to lunch or go.
Are you just like going to Ian Malcolm this the whole entire?
I'm kind of doing.
You're doing a Goldblum.
Am I?
Yeah, you're totally doing a Goldblum right now.
Am I?
You are.
Am I? I'm not reading on here.
I might need to adjust your levels. Let's
Hello.
see.
Toast. Okay. Yeah.
You feel good?
Yeah, that's recorded. No, I was doing a cross between Jeff Goldblum and NPR.
Yeah, welcome to Game Talk, by the way.
Game Talk, yes. All right, that bit's done.
Yeah, good. I'm
Just
glad.
kill it
Can
quick.
we be done with that bit forever? Did you have a good week?
Sure. I think so.
I wanted to see that movie Upgrade, but I didn't get a chance.
Oh, was it good?
I said I wanted to.
Did you
Yeah.
hear good things? Is what
Yeah, it apparently it won like a bunch of stuff at Sundance, and it's got the guy. Okay, so remember Spider-Man: Homecoming?
I know who he is.
Yeah, they allude him to being Shocker.
He was a guy. He died in Spider-Man. He died in Prometheus. He
just
dies
likes
in
to
a lot
die.
of things.
Wonder if he dies in this movie
Well, we'll never know.
after he gets upgraded.
Oh yeah,
Like
RoboCop dies.
everyone dies. The
What?
end. What's the name of this movie? Everyone dies. What's it about? Well, it's about life, but we're just gonna get to the point. Everyone
That's right.
dies
That's right.
eventually, even if we're not gonna show it.
So what did you you went to some sort of beer fest or something?
Not beer. No, just to a brewery.
A brewery.
Yes, it's a brewery.
What do they do at breweries?
Guess what they do, John? They make beer. They brew it. Yeah, there's one not too far from here, about 45. Well, shoot, there's actually two breweries pretty close to us. So friend of the show, Jeff, and I headed up there. Some of our friends even met up with one, Josh D, who's also a friend of the show.
Is he a friend of the show?
He's been on the show, therefore he's officially a friend.
All right, I guess.
Yeah. Friend status.
Whatever.
Had some good beverages and went out and had me a burger afterwards.
Mm.
They also had tots. I cannot deny the power of tots.
The power
It
of
is.
tots.
It is my weakness.
Well, my wife was out
Your
of town,
wife?
so it was just me and the boy.
Thanks for the invite to hang out. Could have hung out this weekend.
No, you didn't want to hang out with us.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But you could have asked.
So we didn't do anything really of note, I don't think. He went to Treadstone a lot, and for people who don't know, Treadstone is like the local climbing gym kind of place.
Treadstone is the project with the Bourne people from the second
sure.
movie.
Yeah, that too. So he spent a lot of time doing that. He's reading. He had to pick a summer read.
Yeah.
So he picked Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh, that's a good book.
One would think to a 12-year-old kid who looked at its length and went, "Oh, yeah, this I'm going to read this."
It's very short.
But what he found was it's that old English,
Yeah.
where words don't mean what they mean anymore.
It's Jules Verne, right?
No, it's
Or is it who? Or is it?
Treasure Island dude, Robert Louis Stevenson.
Okay. Really? I
Yeah.
always thought that was Jules Verne.
Exactly. It's like night and day. It's like one's kind of a children's bookish type, and this one's more, adult themed. But he read the first sentence, and I don't remember what the word was, but he read the first sentence and said, "Do I have to read this?" So we've been reading it with him every night, either reading along with him or him reading with me or Clarissa in the room. And he'll ask us what words mean to give the paragraph a little bit more context.
John, what do words mean?
He's like, I wish I'd never picked this book because I was surprised. I mean, I read it when I was 11 or 12.
Yeah.
I was surprised how difficult it was for him. And of course, if he doesn't immediately grasp something, he doesn't want to do it.
Sure.
So, but he's almost done with it. He had like the longest chapter in the book last night. He's got to read 2 chapters a night.
Nice.
Had like an 18-page chapter. He was beside himself, especially when you're wasting away your evening and you want to play Fortnite.
So are you going to give him like a book by Faulkner next or I guess
hey, go read this Robert Frost poem.
Yes, Robert Frost. Or we can go into we'll just go ahead and give him Tolkien and let him go.
Well,
hey,
or like this is Tolstoy. Let's give this a shot. It's Russian translated into English. So
we'll even go into Hamlet. We'll just give him. We're like, you know what? Here's your first Shakespeare. We're gonna go with that. Let's go with the 4-hour play.
What's the best one?
Hamlet.
No, I mean for beginners. Is it Juliet or is it Macbeth? Macbeth's still pretty easy.
I think the most accessible is probably Romeo and Juliet. Though actually Caesar's pretty accessible too, if I recall, just because it's kind of straightforward. Also Othello.
Well, Macbeth is the one they always throw at you in high school.
Yeah. Macbeth is
I like Macbeth.
Yeah, Macbeth is interesting. It's definitely
This is what we're doing, man. We're talking about Shakespeare now.
Yeah. Midsummer Night's Dream, classic comedy.
Macbeth, the video game. Now that. Can you imagine the dialogue trees?
By the way, the new season of Flash is on Netflix. That was the other thing I kind of did. I started that.
I kind of fell off of it. Is it good?
It's the Flash. It's kind of one of them things like where a lot of these shows, like where you're like, I understand it's really hard to do season to season shows where you're having to do not 10 hours of television, but 23 hours of television a year.
Right.
And it's like, one, you have to have filler episodes. There's just no way to escape that.
Sure.
No way. But 2, you start to go like, man, when you've done 5 years or 4 years of the show, you're talking about like, over 80 hours of television at that point. So it's like, it gets hard. Is the only way you can say to keep it fresh and interesting. I think I'm about halfway through. The one thing I've appreciated is that for once it's not a speedster, the main villain this year. They pretty much introduce that right away and they go with it. But on the other hand, like Ralph Dibny's in this season.
Remind me who that is.
That's the elongated man.
Oh.
Yeah. But they kind of make him... He's not really the Ralph Dibny of the comics. Let's just go with that.
Sure.
Like, there's no Sue or anything like that. He's still like a private eye, but it's definitely in a very different vein than, again, like what the comics is. About the only thing from the comics I've seen come in is the little nose twitching back and forth whenever he smells a mystery.
Yeah.
But
is Miguel still on the show? Is it Miguel? I think it's Miguel, right?
No.
That's not his name?
No, it's not his name. But yes, he is on the show.
What's his name?
I can't.
See, you don't know.
Cisco.
Cisco, that's
right.
Yeah,
it's Cisco. Ha-ha.
Who's Miguel?
I don't know. That's our buddy Mikey's Spanish.
Right.
Miguel. Besides that, though, we'll see how it ends up. They're doing a thing right now in it where I'm like, of course they're doing something like this. This is just dumb. But I don't know.
I got my motorcycle in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, well, there you go. Congrats.
You know what it does?
It goes vroom vroom.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean,
I've done everything else. So it's almost like
I'm
going to drive around in an empty world.
Isn't basically the reason to have it is just to kind of go do the Korok seeds at that point, right? Because you don't have to have all the Korok seeds to get the motorcycle. You just have to complete all the content, right?
No, you have to complete the
Champions
Ballad.
Yeah,
which is a pretty. I was very satisfied with the DLC, but I moved on to Mario plus Rabbids, and now unfortunately had to be pulled away because of a gamer. probably talking about soon.
Not next week, but the week after.
Is it the week after?
Well, next week is
E3.
Yeah. Everyone keeps. I mean, like I keep forgetting that like E3
Man,
starts Saturday. E3 starts on my birthday this year. I don't know. Yeah, E3 starts on my birthday this year. Like that's I guess.
You mean the conferences?
Yeah, okay. Is the first one on my birthday. I think.
Is that Sunday or Saturday?
Saturday. That's like Saturday at 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's been.
I just feel like it keeps starting earlier and earlier.
It's always the second week. It's just really weird this year because, the first was a Friday. So therefore, where the second week is like, starts on the 10th or whatever. So, as opposed to like other years where it might be like more like the 12th or 13th. So it feels weird, but it's still the right timeline, right?
Yeah. Well, I went into GameStop today and they were like, "Hey man, what are you here to pick up?" I went, Vampire, I guess. So they're like,
I felt bad for you yesterday when I saw that, but I wasn't surprised. Let's put it that way. It was kind of what I expected.
I mean, overall, the marks on the story, is what everybody seems to be digging. So I'm okay with that,
Yeah.
So, but at least I have 2 weeks.
Exactly. You do have 2 weeks. I'm thinking I'm going to download that PlayStation Plus game because it's been calling.
What is this?
To me forever.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, it's in the news. Did you know that?
Well, yeah. I just don't remember what I put. Is it PlayStation, you said?
Yeah, PlayStation. And I've been like on the fence of buying because I love the first one. I've played the first one a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And I've come close to getting on PC and Xbox a couple of times. But I was like, I can wait for a better sale. I was really just waiting for the Steam summer sale, but I'm like, well, this is here.
Yeah, even if you don't jump into it immediately, that's an easy get. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah. If you like those kind of games. You want to do this topic, I guess?
Do you want to do this topic?
I guess, yeah.
I'm excited to hear about it.
Oh boy. Well, let's do it.
Topic time.
The topic is don't do it, John. That's the topic. Don't do it, John. John, we need to talk. You've had some issues.
Yes,
You've done some things, and we've literally said to your face, "Don't do it, John."
Not here. Yeah. Don't say it here.
It involved a horse. Anyways, no, for real though, the topic is
who's riding who here, huh?
Right?
You see?
This is getting weird. Frostpunk. I'm sure
that is an amazing title for a game. I go Frostpunk, and I have no idea what could possibly be this game.
It's about a game where where there are these punks
in the Himalayas,
and there's this person named Emma Frost.
Okay. All right. Are you serious?
No, that'd be perfect though, wouldn't it?
That was pretty believable.
Yeah. No. Frostpunk is a kind of I guess the best way to describe it, it's an RTS, so to speak, but it's like a city builder, right? So like the idea, this is on Steam, by the way, of course. Yay, Steam
only
games.
Steam?
Yeah. For now, only Steam. I guess it could someday come to consoles. It wouldn't be too hard to make it work. You could do this game with a controller easily. I mean, I know City Skylines is on consoles, and so is Tropico and all that. And if they can do those games, I have no doubt they could do this game too. So the idea is like it's an alternate world where in the mid 1800s, and I think this actually happened to some extent, like there's volcanic explosions that are really bad, right? Which did happen. Like we had a little bit of volcanic cooling that happened for about 10 years because of a pretty major explosion that happened. So the idea is like that's happened, but increased amounts. And the sun has started to dim too. So the world eventually succumbs and goes into a really dire ice age, right? And in order to survive, basically society builds these like steam core engines and that can go to these spots with like humongous coal deposits, like in the north and all that. And therefore you can mine the coal and keep everything going and keep society alive, right? So they can survive this thing. So the idea is you are, at least in the first scenario, you're leading an expedition out of London to get to one of these last remaining steam cores, and you get there and it's pretty bad off.
Are we looking at top down?
Yeah, it's top down. It's a city built, like I said, it's a city building type sim game. So, you start, and like the first day that you'll start, there are 3 scenarios, and I believe in all of them, it's always the same, where when you start, it's about negative 20 Celsius out, right?
That's pretty cold.
Yeah. So your first goal is just to like get coal, get your freaking steam engine on and get some heat. And then afterwards, it's kind of like you have to start building, of course, little tents to provide, shelter for your people. And then you slowly start to delegate people out. So like you'll see coal deposits and wood crates and piles of steel. You have to send people out to go collect these things through a set amount of hours and use that to build up your resources. But the kicker is that you only have like a total of 80 people that are available to work starting out.
Sure.
And you're not getting any more for a good while, if we're being honest. And you have to kind of pick where you're putting your resources at, while also mitigating things like hunger, frostbite, and just basically how much time you have to get resources versus how much resources you're using.
So you literally have to manage your personnel.
Yes,
and you have to take care of them. You have to make sure they're...
And you have to make some very hard choices. So it's like...
I like playing God.
Yeah, I mean, it's like early on, they only can work from like, I think it's like they wake up at 5 a.m. and they start work at 8 and they end work at like 6 p.m. initially, right? So like you have to get your resources and be able to mitigate out what you need from everything from like if you're doing your research, if you're getting your coal, your wood, whatever it is, that's the time you have to get it, right? The kicker is that after a couple of days, the temperature drops again. And all of a sudden, those little piles that like you need to go farm that you had no problem get before, if you haven't established a workshop and gotten yourself technology to build these things called like steam core heaters or whatever, when people go out to get stuff, they're going to get frostbite. So you have to plan for this. You have to like develop ways to get yourself where there's going to be heat. You also are going to quickly realize that in order to keep people warm and only work the shifts that you're allowed to work at the beginning of the game, you're going to have to at some point figure out when you're cutting off the generator, because you will run out of coal unless you're like, that's all you're going to get. But if you only focus on getting coal at the beginning, you won't have enough resources to do the upgrading that you're eventually going to need in the long run. So the way that you are kind of able to influence these and start to shape the world is that there are 2 meters in the game, right? There's hope. So, hope being the kind of thing like more hope you have, the more optimistic your people are, they're going to make it through this ordeal, right? And then there's dissonance. Okay. They feel like you are a terrible leader, and eventually if it goes all the way up, they'll
riot.
Yeah. They'll riot, kill you, whatever.
Game over?
Yeah, pretty much. So the way you control these things is that I would say once every 24 hours, right, you have laws that you can pass. And they range from all sorts of parts of, I guess, society where they influence, right? And sometimes they have negative effects, sometimes they have positive effects. So like, for instance, one of the first things that I always pass is there's one where you can have an emergency 24-hour shift for a building. So like, say I'm like looking, dear Lord, we are really almost out cold and like the temperature has dropped down to negative 60. I can go ahead and make it so that my coal engine or people who are harvesting coal for me that they work for the next 24 hours. But if I keep doing that, every time I do that, one, dissonance goes up way big. Like,
because you were forced to have
they're forced to work for 24 hours.
So it's like trade-offs.
Yeah. And then two, if you do it repeatedly, not only is it going to keep rising, but at the same time, the chance for something to go wrong, like someone to have an arm get chopped off in the process or something, that goes up, or to, fall out because they feel malnourished, or, all that kind of stuff is there. There's things like questions of like child labor. Like you have choices. Like, do you want to have child labor, like where, they can do safe jobs, or do you want to build like a child orphanage? And those are interesting because, okay, so first off, you have 15 children, I believe, at the start of the game.
Put them to work.
That you can do. And here's the thing. You could do that, right? And it gives you like, at first they can only do safe jobs. So like you could put them in the kitchen, right? Or you could put them, they could be one of the people in the early part of the game that goes out and gathers things for you.
Sure.
But then if you choose that option, then the next question is, okay, do you want them just to do any job? Which means eventually you're going to get to a point where a kid's going to get hurt. It's just like the moment you start putting them in those things, you have to do so with the understanding this is a ticking time bomb. You probably should only do this if you really need it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you build the shelter and you put people in it, then you have the option to do a long-term investment where you can invest in them either becoming engineers or hunters, apprentices. So then eventually, I think like after 20 days, they get to a point where they're educated enough and they'll be added to your workforce as just regular workers. There's also this huge kind of upgrade skill tree workshop thing where you kind of have different types of things. So you have like resource management, health, the actual heat production of your core generator, and then like expansion and things like that. And you have to slowly plan out how to invest your time to get the resources you need for where you are in the game. So cause like I said, after about like, so for instance, like the first couple of days, you're kind of gathering as much as you can. And I actually figured out quickly that before I even build people houses, I build that workshop.
Yeah.
Because then I can start to research, and you need pretty much every freaking little bit of time possible to get this done. Yeah. Before that fourth day. So that by the time the fourth day arrives, I've already got a coal thumper, so I can have a place that is shielded from the cold where they can, harvest coal. I can have a sawmill to get my wood. And I didn't have the steel works yet, but I had like a cookhouse and a hunting lodge so I could get more food for them. And I had a basic medical tent to treat those that might have little small illnesses or injuries that occur.
Are your people growing or in number?
There is. So eventually you get to a point where one of your investments early on is you get a beacon. And when the beacon goes up.
Nice. Okay.
When the beacon goes up, you kind of get an idea of you have two directions you can go and you need to pick one. So like one might be like, okay, if we go over here, we get this thing called steam core, and steam cores are really important because they're very, very finite resource. Like you only get one to start off, and like this is the only way early on that you're going to get another one. And those are big because the more deeper technologies, they're going to require that. So like if you want a really nice coal production, like where you don't really have to worry about as much for a little while, you're going to need that steam core. On the other hand, if you want, say, a better production of food out there, again, you're going to need a steam core. So it kind of comes down to like what's your priority early on. On the flip side, you're going to find, I would say by day 4, I had it where everyone had an effective job in the whole entire camp. So then it was, how do I move people around to get what I need and, kind of put in order what's the most important thing right now versus what can kind of be just strung along, so to speak.
Yeah.
So the other side of it, when you have that beacon come up early on, is that you could send a party the other way and you could search for survivors, and that will bring in some new people, like I think 10 or 15 more people that you can then have. And that's like so big. You have no idea how much, like 15 people in this game is a godsend.
Wow.
To you. But the idea is like basically as you progress through the game, it gets more complex and you kind of go through these periods of like 1 to 2 day harshness versus then a little bit of a reprieve to what the temp was. So like, you know, it starts at 20 degrees below Celsius, like I said, right? Then all of a sudden, like after 4 days, I think it goes down like 40 or 50.
Yeah.
And then after 2 days after that, it goes back down to 30. Okay. But the eventual idea is that what you're doing is you're building up your city because I think it's like around day 20 or something like that. You are eventually going to have this huge storm that arrives and you need to survive it. So, you know, if you haven't managed your time well, you're going to wipe is basically the way to say it. And after you've survived 20 days, I think with the first one, I think it's 40 days with the second one, you unlock a new scenario and it kind of gives you a little bit of a different perspective of going on. Like the second one is like these professors that are kind of and engineers who are caught in this situation where they have to decide between helping themselves and helping a discovered civilization that's failing, like if they're going to help them or not. But it's still the same core concept that no matter what they do between those two groups, you still have to survive an impending storm that's coming within the next 20 days or whatever.
But this is 20 days, 40 days based on the game clock, right?
Yes, yeah, which you can control. I mean, like anyone who's played any kind of SimCity, there's 3 speeds. There's, normal, fast, and faster, and pause if you want to.
Those are all my speeds.
Yes.
All my options.
But I like it because like there's no easy win situation. Like a lot of these city games, like you start out and it's hard at first, right? Sure. It's like when you're in the early part of the game, you kind of you need to be selective with what you're doing. Otherwise you're just going to run into resource hell. And it's going to be a problem. But on the other hand, once you get to about mid or late game and you've figured out how to build everything up and you have like all these multiple things working in perfection, it's kind of like, then it's just managing crisis, right? Like you just go, like SimCity, you're like, oh no, look at that. Like we've got so many people now. This street that used to be perfectly fine is over cluttered. Let me dig that up and make it a 4-way street. Right? Or a 1-way street or something like that. You figure out ways how to mitigate the problems. This isn't that game. This game, like I said early on, I focused on the wood because wood is kind of like your primary tool to do your early upgrades. But eventually I got to a point where I needed steel. So I had to go build steelworks. Well, because I'd hit this huge surplus of wood, I knew what I had to do. I had to pull everyone off wood and they had to go over to the steel mills and build that up.
Well, it's probably tough to get steel these days because of Trump putting tariffs on it.
Exactly. That was the problem. The Chinese, they didn't want to help me out.
Yeah. Sucks.
Yeah. But like the idea there was that, like after a little while though, that when you start to do that, you're going to get to a point where if you haven't brought new people in, Penny's just like, hey, every time we look at her, she just starts getting happy. Like, is it me? You love me. After, a little bit of time, like when I finally had started to do these upgrades, I have to either have gotten some more people or else make this really hard decision. Like, how do I decide where to place people where I'm getting enough efficiently to cover the problems that are at hand? And it's making hard choices. And like, sometimes you want to take an easy way out, but you see where it could go if you go the other way. There's like all sorts of messed up, like people will come and ask you like, look, man, we've been working, like you can do these extended shifts, like where instead they're working like 9 hours, they start working like 16-hour days. My kind of shift. But at the same time, after a couple of days, they'll be like, look, man, we're really exhausted. Can we please just like have 3 days of normal shift? And you have to be like, no, get back to work. or, you give in. You can build like fighting pits so people can take out their aggressions on themselves. And you can also do, if you want to,
It's
people
a fight club.
yeah, right. Yeah. And then like on the other hand, there's, you have to decide between having a cemetery or actually just having like a frozen pit somewhere.
For the bodies that die?
Yes, for people to die.
That's hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can eventually get to a point where, like, if people are defying you or breaking laws, not able to work or whatever, you can take them and have public floggings in the town square so that people fear and obey what you're trying to impose on them.
This is like my dream world.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I ran right here.
Oh, shut up.
But you let's see. There's like, I'm trying to think what else. Oh, you can do it like, okay, so do you for your hospitals?
No hospitals. None.
There's a couple of ways. Do you just try to do your best to treat people and like do it humanely, right? Or do you say, look, we're going to need you long term. So you got an infection in the old arm there. We're just going to chop that one off for the frostbite. And, we'll put a hook or something on the end and get back to it, boy.
Because we don't have time to treat you.
Exactly. Like, and, it's interesting because like, we're not talking about like some world like where, there's some good nation that's prospering here. Like this is literally, humanity on the edge, just trying to survive. And you ask yourself, like, what is allowed at that point? Like, where are you willing to go?
So there's no
theoretically,
there's no internet in this place.
There's no internet here. The internet never got invented, apparently, because when it's cold, all you have is steam.
Before you continue,
yeah,
this is almost an obvious question, but I've heard you say Steam.
Yeah.
And the game is Frostpunk. Is that title a play on a steampunk type world?
Yeah, well,
is this a steampunk game?
To its core, yeah. I mean, because it's like the engine itself is a steam engine.
Well, I'm gonna play it then.
Yeah, it's
when I get my PC.
Is that when you're playing? When you get your PC?
I mean,
where is it? See, like you can. I don't know if you can see it in here. I had it earlier. I'm trying to show John this week's episode cover, so like you can see the steam coming off here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like I said, like there's all these, like you have the main steam core that you need to absolutely at some point get to a higher level in order to survive, but then you have like all these smaller areas and you have to figure out how to heat all those smaller areas, so you have to build smaller steam cores that are out there, and like when do you turn them on versus when do you have them off. Like that's the fun part of the game, is realizing, I need to switch all resources, which means I need to do these 4 things in this area and deactivate them before I go to this area and turn things on. And I need to set the options on there, because if you don't, you're wasting your resources. And honestly, like, I think one of the first goals they give you in the game is like stockpile 200 coal. And I think I finally achieved that on day 9, not because I wasn't getting coal, but I was burning so much of it.
Because you had to.
Yeah. I mean, like there was just no way that you can't just sit there and think you're going to go in this game and just, okay, for the first 3 days, all I'm going to focus on is getting coal. Like, no, that's not happening. If you do that, you're going to die. You're not going to make it past day 4. So it really is like a hard decision of what you decide to invest in versus what you choose. So like, I guess for most people, like the idea of beating the game, like there's 2 ways. Like you could just beat the scenarios, but then like for those who really want the challenge, the idea is, can you get through the game without anyone like losing limbs to frostbite or dying, and it's pretty hard to do. I've yet to come close to that, but I have survived the first scenario. I have not beat the second one yet, but it is a very fun game. It's only about $30. I've been like looking at this game the last couple of weeks.
Has it just recently come out?
It came out like mid-May, I think.
Okay.
And pretty much everyone that likes city builders has pretty much said like, hey, this is worth your time. So I was like, I want to get this. I just had so many other things we were playing at the moment. And like, it's funny now because it's like, we're about to get that period of the year finally where it's like, man,
wish something will come out.
Yeah. Like I'm about to be like, well, guess it's that time of year where I just play NBA 2K for like 90 days straight. See what I get. But yeah, it's $30 on Steam. Totally recommend it if you like city games, if you like survival games, I guess. Anything that's like top down. Totally worth it. I'd probably give it a solid 9 out of 10, Richards. That would be my recommendation.
That's a good score.
That is.
Sitting at a solid 84 on Metacritic with 61 reviews.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that, right?
And it's only PC right now?
Yes, only PC for right now. Penny's kind of emotionally upset that it's only on PC. She would like it to come to Xbox One X. Yeah. Phil Spencer work on that. You want to do some news?
With you? Absolutely.
Sweet.
Hot off the press and straight to your ears. Weekly Games Chat presents the news.
They'll never know we were discussing news for so long. That's funny.
Oh, my head hurts.
First up, Team Sonic Racing.
What?
Sega has announced that Team Sonic Racing, a new racing title from developer Sumo Digital. The game will have a physical and digital release this winter for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Switch. The game will feature single and multiplayer modes to include a Grand Prix, exhibition, time trial, and team adventure. Players can race as a team and work together using moves and special items. The game will have a roster of 15 playable characters from the Sonic universe. That's cool.
There are diehard fans of this.
Back
this
in the
series. They say it's. I think most people will sanely go, "Yeah, of course, Mario Kart's the better." But they say this is
a bigger one.
Well, they say it's a very competent racer.
Yes.
So, and it might have something to do with the next bit of news. Well, sure, that too.
Yeah. Was it James Marsden's in the new Sonic movie?
Oh, yeah.
Old Teddy from Westworld,
that
aka
guy.
Cyclops.
He does, man.
He's good on Westworld.
Working actor, man.
Yeah, he's like I say, he's been really good on Westworld.
Yeah,
he's the main character there.
He's Cyclops, right?
Yes. Not anymore, but yes. PlayStation Plus games for June are your XCOM 2, which is the one I was saying I was waiting for. Trials Fusion, great game. Zombie Driver HD, which is from PlayStation 3. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier, also from PlayStation 3. Atomic Ninjas and Squares, which are both on the Vita. Not sure if they have cross-play to the PS4. Meanwhile, on Xbox games with Gold, you will get AC Chronicles Russia from the whole month, or for the whole month. A Smite Gold bundle, not sure what that includes, but I'm sure it's probably like a bunch of characters that automatically unlock or something. Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, you can pick that up the first half of the month, and then Lego Indiana Jones 2, The New Adventures, the back half of the month. Both of those are Xbox 360 games that have been made backwards compatible.
Smite, friend of the show Chris Hatchett plays that game.
Hey, I saw him.
Now I know somebody who plays that game. I didn't know it was.
I've played it once before.
What is it comparable to? Is it Dota?
It's
stuff like that?
It's a MOBA with kind of like a third-person, low-angle view. So,
okay, he seems to like it.
Yeah, a lot of people do. It's very popular. Fallout 76 announced. Bethesda has indicated that Fallout 76. Can you move your water, John? I can't read.
Yes.
Behind your water. Will be fully revealed at E3 next week. It's not fully clear what kind of game Fallout 76 is, but many are speculating that will be a game along the vein of Rust. Fallout 76 refers to Vault 76, which was previously mentioned in the previous games as a control vault containing 500 occupants living in Vault 76. The announcement trailer also contains the song Take Me Home Country Roads, suggesting a location in West Virginia. So yeah, they mentioned...
I didn't know that there have been 75 Fallout games. That's amazing. Todd Howard is a busy guy.
We just kind of skipped ahead. So yeah, they reference this in Fallout 3. And they say
only Fallout 3?
I can't remember if it's in Fallout 4 or not, but Fallout 3 they talk about, yes, there's a control vault. Because like there's always two types of vaults. There are those that are used for scientific experiments, like psychological things, and
this one you can imagine people got lotteried and
Yeah, this is more
can
of
come
like
survive here.
surviving in
like Fallout Shelter.
Yeah, like an actual Fallout. And it was alluded to that it was in Virginia. So, I don't know if they're just doing Take Me Home because it's Virginia, or if it is going to be West Virginia, whatever, maybe around the border.
Plus, it's in the DC area.
Yeah, it's all in there.
As the Fallout guy,
mm-hmm.
are you interested in this, and what do you want from it? If so,
I know there are some that are like, oh, I don't want to play Fallout unless it's first person and it's only this. But I mean, me, I played Rust.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the heck out of that game.
Funny stories from Rust.
Yeah, I mean,
I enjoyed them.
So, like, what Jason Schreier of Kotaku is basically saying is, yeah, this is going to be like an online type of Rust game where it's about, survival in the wasteland, so to speak. And that idea of like, it can be Rust or it could be this. It always works great. The idea of I'm gathering things and I look over and I see another real person, someone controlled by that.
Who wants my stuff.
Yeah, who may or may not want my stuff, could be friendly, could be not. And like, if they make it kind of how those games are where you can't talk to them unless you're in range of them, right? That makes it interesting.
Yeah. Or
the idea of here, like, the cool thing that Fallout 4 did was it added base building and all these cool options, and they really built it out over the year and a half that the game was modded and had expansions. So you take all that kind of stuff in, and now you say I can build bases for my stuff and things like that. And if you make it kind of how Rust is, like where it's always on a live server somewhere, and you need to be cognizant of the fact of what is in your your shelter at all times, because it can be taken if you're not there. It makes it really cool, and I think that fits really well in that universe.
Yeah, I think it does too. I mean, and timeline-wise, it looks like it's going to be taking place before everything else in the series goes down. Man, the things she gets a hold of.
I know, right?
But I don't know. It's the question I have. What I'm curious about is if this is now Fallout's future ongoing. I would not assume it is because Fallout does too well as far as single player sales for video games, but one has to wonder because who saw this coming? It's like, what in the world?
To his credit, Todd Howard, Lord Supreme Commander of Bethesda, has said like he had multiple unannounced projects in the work, like that he had a tie-in. From my understanding, this game was both like it was led in part by him and his core team that's in the Bethesda Studios office in Bethesda, Maryland. Hey, now you know where the name of the studio came from. And then on the other hand, the new team that's in Austin that I think did a lot of the work on Prey. If I recall, they did work on that, and they've done some work on other games.
Okay.
So it was kind of like a, combination. So like, hey, here's us overseeing, but then here's maybe this Austin team doing the legwork. I don't think this will be the last time we ever see a Fallout game, just because, as you said, like the demand's too great. There's too much love for the Fallout series.
So now that we've seen this trend, I mean, every year for the past few years, but really heavy this year, or maybe it seems heavy, but it's always this heavy. This game's got revealed prior to E3. Yeah. Obviously, they're going to talk about it, but do you think that's a strategy to get out of the way for what could be an Elder Scrolls reveal?
I think whenever he decides to announce Elder Scrolls, it's going to be very similar to Fallout, where it's like kind of like what they did here, where it's going to be like maybe a week or two before E3. Here's literally a teaser for Elder Scrolls 6, and then
Skyrim 2.
I don't think they'll just do
somebody. Skyrim. Well, somebody made a point on a podcast. I don't want to steal an idea, but it's like more people know what Skyrim is over what Elder Scrolls is, and they might make that a sequel to Skyrim.
I can't see that. I mean, like, because the cool thing about the world of Elder Scrolls is that like there's so many different regions and they all have their own distinct thing. Like I'd be like, why are you going to do that when you could go back and make a new Morrowind game, which is a really cool area too. And it's been, I mean, like the last time we had that was 2004. I guess like they just did an expansion with it on Elder Scrolls Online, but I think most people aren't going to play that, right? Unless they really love MMOs.
Sure.
So it's like, why not just bring it back and do...
Is this Fallout an MMO? Would this be an MMO?
I guess in theory it
How
could
do
be.
you define Rust if that's...
It's... I wouldn't call it well, it is an MMO, and it's not an MMO RPG. It's just an MMO.
Okay,
Meaning
sure.
that's
All right.
massive multiplayer. But it depends on how it is. Like Rust would do these things like where you would have different servers out there. So I hope it's kind of like that. That would be cool. Like you have different servers that have different sets of rules to them as far as what is allowed and what is not allowed out there. But I'm going to guess, though, my guess is this. He announces this. I think it's coming out in November. As we've said, there's nothing in November right now. And honestly, this kind of fits.
There isn't anything, is there?
No, there really isn't right now. So it's like, I kind of look at this and I go, there's nothing in November because everyone's afraid. And this is this is one. This is the one studio that could maybe with the one series that could inject something, and at least the core is going to come out. 2, I think it's so different from all the other stuff. It's not. While it's a shooter, I don't think this game is going to be a shooter in the way that we've seen.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not like Battlefield. It's not like Call of Duty.
Plus, it has a $60 buy-in, like an actual game. You're buying you're buying an actual $60 game. So
I could see you put this out like around November 15th, and they would be fine. I think sure maybe there might be a little bit of damage for them, but that's. My point is, I don't think they have as much to fear. And honestly, that game, because of the way it's designed, where it's supposed to be this online thing, they can think long term, where it's like, it doesn't matter if they sell like Battlefield, where I think Battlefield's going to be looking at day one and they're either going to be like, all right, we're good. Or they're going to be like, we really made a bad choice here, guys. And that'll be that.
Okay.
Speaking of potential bad choices, I don't know.
Oh, come on.
I hope it's not. Assassin's Creed Odyssey confirmed. Ubisoft has confirmed that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is real and will be they tease that more information will be revealed at E3. The announcement comes shortly after a leak online. The game is apparently set in ancient Greece. The game will introduce new features to the franchise, including dialogue options, which would make John extremely happy. That perplexes me. Players will also be able to report
it. Make me happy.
Oh, it would not. Yeah,
no. It was meant to be sarcastic.
Okay, yeah. I was reading. I was like, that's got to be sarcastic, right? Players will also be able to reportedly select between a make. That's male, John.
Come on,
male. Come on, man. Tighten up. Proofread yourself. And female protagonists. It's important to note that Assassin's Creed 2 is the only mainstream AC game that was never leaked to the media. Yeah, it's like 10 years and only one time did they manage not to leak it.
It's like from now on, you and I, Chris, we have to say, has Assassin's Creed been announced yet?
Has it been leaked?
Has it been leaked yet?
Yeah.
What's the next one?
Remember, they tried to blackball Kotaku for a number of years.
I can't blame them.
Yeah,
I really can't.
It's like, to me, I'm like, what do you want? They're a news outlet. If you get something, they have to report, right? Like, that's the point of it. So I'm like, to me, I'll be like, look.
Sometimes it's appropriate to keep.
Yeah. It's one thing if you're going in there and you're hacking. But like here in like this case, the thing that finally set it off and kind of confirmed it
is a keychain.
Yeah,
it's always something. I mean, Black Flag, when that was leaked because somebody saw a guy's open laptop on an airplane or an iPad.
I mean, and I understand how this happens. Like why it happens to them. It's because Ubisoft has so many studios around the world working on these games versus like say something like Rockstar London, Rockstar North, where that's where pretty much all of Red Dead's being made. So unless someone kind of does what they did a couple of years ago where they hacked in and were able to get a screen grab of the idea of the map size, it's pretty rare, right? So
I like a couple of things here. It's you can tell it. It's very short.
Yeah, it's long. Pretty much. It's like
this is Sparta.
Yeah, this is Sparta. Except you're on the top of the mountain when you do it.
But I like the fact that you can choose your gender. When Assassin's Creed Syndicate came out, Evie was always the character I used unless the mission required me to use Jacob Fry.
Sure.
So I could see this being the same character. that fits in the timeline. It's just that you get to choose what the gender is.
I think what I like about this is that, we're talking about the dialogue options, and now it sounds like instead of, in the past, we've always had these very scripted views of what it is. Like, Bayek is Bayek. He's going to go out there, and his goal is to do one thing. He wants to avenge his freaking son, right? Ezio wants to avenge his family, and that's the storyline. That's it. But they seem to be going into more of what I think is the better way to do open world games, which is, again, it's choice. So instead of like saying, here's the male protagonist and the female protagonist, you're going to switch back and forth, or here's just one or the other. It's like, look, pick the avatar you want to be in this world, and you know what? We're going to give you dialogue options. Go out there and be the assassin you want to be.
And I hope that's what it's going towards.
Yeah.
The question is, does it jump over the holiday and actually release in March? Because that would be weird.
From everything I keep reading now.
Like it'll jump the holiday?
It's coming out they're saying this holiday it's coming out.
Okay.
Yeah. I know they said it's like through there, but everyone seems to be believing that, Division 2 is their March game for next year.
What's the general they always
Kenobi.
shoot for they always shoot for October, don't they?
They usually do. And again, I wouldn't be surprised.
There's another game that they might want to avoid. What is it called?
Red Dead Redemption 2. Last of the Mohicans. Wait, what?
What?
Spoilers. I could maybe see them targeting December. That'd be
interesting.
Yeah. Because the only other thing I could see maybe showing up around that time would be Kingdom Hearts 3, because we all know even if they say it's coming in October, it's getting delayed to December.
Was Origins contending with anything that you recall?
It came out the last week. I mean, I guess Call of Duty came out right after it, but there wasn't anything in its wheelhouse, I think. I mean, Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War was a couple weeks before it, but it pretty much died out by the time it came out.
The other interesting thing about this is, for the longest time, for about a year and a half, you're thinking that you're kind of seeing a new Ubisoft.
Sure.
They delay Origins and make it a 2-year cycle. It's almost like in my opinion, it's just a theory. Every game in the Ubisoft library has been delayed, even though it's been done, because it's a PR stunt to make everybody go, wow, they're really taking consideration into their titles. I mean, it's like, is Far Cry 5 really more done 2 months later than it was 2 months before? And it's just funny that they're kind of, to the main point, they're really kind of back on the wagon of yearly releases. It's like, what does everybody feel about that? I haven't seen any real negative responses
because we don't know what it is yet, right? And sure. I think before, the things that hurt it before was one, you had 3 straight games of Ezio. I love Ezio, but when there's no in between, you're just going man, they're just copying and pasting this thing from
Shut
year
up.
And
one of them had a hook blade.
And then you get to the next one, finally they revealed Assassin's Creed 3, and I think everyone thought that was going to be something mind blowing, right? And it came out and be honest, regardless how you felt, most people were myself included, were kind of meh. It's an Assassin's Creed game.
Ironically, it has a higher Metacritic score than Origins does.
Yeah, that's God.
It's.
I hate to me those kinds of things. That's where the group think bias
No, I agree with you.
Comes
it's
in.
It's just a fun thing to compare.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey is kind of a play on
the Odyssey.
Well, they're going to tie into Homer somehow.
Yeah,
they're going to make Homer a keeper of an apple of Eden or something like that.
But Homer was, I'm pretty sure. Again, here's the thing I don't understand. Right?
Sure.
This has got to be set, in theory, if this is tied to the Assassins, after the events of the last game.
Sure.
Right? Because that's the beginning. Literally.
Or was it?
That was the beginning.
Yeah,
from what they told me, that's the beginning. That's
because we saw the symbol in the sand.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this. That was its origin. So, in the way... freaking spoilers for the next 5 seconds of those who really care.
Well, you said you wanted Alexander the Great.
Yeah, I said I would love Alexander the Great, but it's not possible. Okay,
Sure.
like the game basically ends in the period of Cleopatra. For those who don't know, that's like 50 BC. I don't know, somewhere like it's pretty far in the BCs if I recall.
But there's a connection there because Cleopatra had Greek origins.
Yes.
She was,
you already had by the time she's ruling, Alexandria is Alexandria, because of Alexander. And that's the thing that like sucks is that to me, in my opinion, like the heyday of the Greek Empire, like at its might, was way before that, right? Because it was before the Roman heyday, and
it was
before,
never really an empire. It was an advanced cultural.
Well, during Alexander, it was an empire for a little bit there.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
But like all that kind of stuff, like the ties to Persia and all that, like I think Homer again is like, if they're being historically accurate, and I don't know if they will be or not, is before all this. So I just mean
Homer, the character, not the character, but the historical figure will be tied into the story.
Yeah, could be. I guess that's possible. I mean, like, so that's
from the artifacts perspective.
I mean, regardless, just going
Homer's
around,
eyes, are an apple of Eden.
The one thing that will be really cool, I think, is that I could actually see this feeling a little bit in weirdness, to freaking God of War here, right? Because it's really weird that previously in God of War we didn't have a boat because there is a lot of water in that region as far as little islands and hopping to and from like where you would go to with the different kingdoms, and you could do that so much here. Like, so I could see this idea of like you as an assassin in your boat just going across the was it the Aegean Sea, right? And like going from Sparta and then going to
row faster, Greeks are dying.
Yes. That was actually I hope that comes back, like the from those boat missions from Origins. I hope that comes back because you could easily, of course, encompass that.
They were interesting, but
I liked it.
They were part of the main story.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it like that thing coming back. But as far as like this being an annual franchise, right? It depends what it is. Like, look, Call of Duty is an annual franchise, but it's also a franchise ran by 3 studios, and therefore each game has 3 years of development.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they start doing here.
But in fairness, that's what the games have always done.
Yeah,
there's a 3-year cycle on every Assassin's Creed game. Now it's different. Because with Treyarch and they're
distinct studios.
Yeah, their stuff don't overlap. So you've got studios all over Ubisoft that have a hand in this thing. So there's a difference there, but the cycle is still 3 years.
Yeah, it's kind of like here. It feels like, look, you do the base work, and then whenever Origins went gold last year, you had a small team that worked on DLC and update patches and all that, and then you had everyone else that probably turned their attention to polishing this game. And I guess the question that remains now is like, well, how much work really went into this? Like, was it like, okay, the Origins engine got built and now we're just kind of doing a little bit of modification on this? If that's the case, then it's going to come down to just how good the story and everything is. Like, are they are they running into the same mistakes they used to make? Like the problem that people got to, I think, with Assassin's Creed when it was an annual franchise before, was you got to this point where it didn't feel like they were really innovating. They were just taking things that like other people had done at some point, like whether it was like, a city defender mode or whatever, and just like throwing them in there.
Tower defense.
Yeah. And really the only thing they did big is the one thing they consistently got praised for, and why I think people loved 4 so much is that was the boat stuff. The rest of it kind of fell to the wayside. And here, this time, it kind of felt like, again, they went back and they innovated and made something that felt unique. So
if you make one more game like Odyssey that plays like Origins, I'll do that another year.
Oh, yes. I would gladly.
That game is fantastic.
If that world is as interesting as Origins was, as Egypt, if Greece can be that interesting, I'm totally down for it. Yeah. And I would be much more open to it.
Absolutely.
State of Decay surpasses 2 million players. The lower reviews don't seem to be hindering the success of State of Decay 2. The game has surpassed 2 million players, Whether that is sustainable remains to be seen. An important thing to note is the game is growing from 1 million in its first week to 2 million by week 2.
Now, I know
People love zombies.
I know full well that has a lot to do with Xbox Game Pass. So
For sure.
I know that doesn't translate into hard copy sales.
What do they care?
But
right?
it's like, but that's why this game is why they did Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
They want a controller.
We've seen it.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think 1 million to 2 million is
awesome.
It is really strange that it grew instead of,
like I said,
shrunk.
people seem to forget, like, the first State of Decay wasn't some, like, critical darling. It was just this thing, like, where, especially at the time when it came out, it was very unique. Like, because, you'd had, what you call Left 4 Dead, like the cooperative type zombie game, but you really hadn't had this thing where it was, like, literally survival mode and, like, trying to keep different people alive that each had different personalities and properties and all that. People like that kind of stuff. So now you've given them a way to do it with their friends. Makes it even more fun for them. So if that's, I tried to play it. I don't think it really appeals to me that much.
Yeah. I haven't, it's downloaded.
Yeah. It's on my system.
I haven't cracked it open yet. And I'm like,
why don't we just play Overcooked instead, John? We still can do that. We still have it on Game Pass. Overcooked would be the greatest thing ever. Capcom has registered Devil May Cry 5, a domain name. Capcom is suggesting an E3 could be on the way. Reveal could be on the way. The domain name is registered by a third-party company, GMO Internet Group. GMO, genetically modified
organism.
The group has previously registered the other domain names on behalf of Capcom to include Resident Evil 7 and Monster Hunter World. Yeah, I will say this. This is earlier this week. There was like a supposed internal leak of PlayStation's showcase, like the schedule of okay.
I missed it. What did you see on it?
It was like the first thing on there shows like they're going to start off with a demo for Ghost of was it Tsushima or whatever it's called, the game by Insomniac or not Insomniac,
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch. Thank you. And then it's like it's that.
So it's a complete
like,
run of show.
Yeah, it's like and basically just says what it is and if it's a demo or a trailer. And on that list was Devil May Cry 5. Now, the only thing that made me go, okay, that's BS was like there were a couple things at the end. Like the big surprise at the end was a trailer for a new SOCOM game. And I was like, there's no way they're bringing back SOCOM just because that's not what you close a show with.
No, absolutely not. I mean, most of the time, these run of show lists turn out to be kind of...
If that's a placeholder, then fine.
Maybe.
Yeah, but like, I'm like, if there's a big, shocking reveal, that's not going to be the one. But like, on that list, to their credit, before I saw this come out, there was a Devil May Cry 5 reveal trailer was on the list. They had everything else that was on there, like they had their big things. They were going to have demos for both Last of Us and what was it called? Freaking Death Stranding and stuff like that. There's a bunch of other crazy stuff though. There was like a PSVR stuff for Spider-Man Homecoming, or not Homecoming, but the new Amazing Spider-Man. And then a PSVR experience for something called BioShock Resurgence. Yeah, and I was like, oh, if that's real, to which I was like, well, I guess that means Microsoft's getting BioShock Resurgence at their press conference.
I'm going to have to sit here for the next hour.
Right? I mean, like I said, you just never know because like I was looking at it and I was like, look, it's got items on here that look, they're the official logo for E3 this year and all that kind of stuff. But you also look at it and I go, I could manufacture this exact same document in about 10 minutes in Word, it's not something that's very hard to do. So we'll see.
Well, I remember when they rebooted Devil May Cry.
Sure.
And it's like, as far as I remember, that game went over very well when it initially came out, but I was amazed at how divided the fan base is on Devil May Cry.
It was really
weird.
And
the reason they rebooted it, a big part of why they rebooted it is because Dante from the original games had started to kind of not look modern anymore. He just had this emo, I mean, well, in fairness, the new one is very emo, but
it's kind of like
he had this white hair. It was very he was very 90s.
He's always had very emo.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the way he is presented in the world is presented in the first game kind of breaks off in the sequels. And people were always a little bit divisive in the way that went. They've always had great gameplay. I mean, I've always enjoyed their great hack and slash games. I tried to play the last one. I wasn't, to be fair, I played it, the remastered one that then was ported to Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Mm-hmm. It felt, after playing some of the more recent hack and slash games, I'll just say it felt a little dated to me.
And it was, the developer was, forget their name, but they did help, well, the developer, not the publisher, but the developer was.
Was it Platinum?
No, the folks who did Hellblade last year.
Okay.
That's who rebooted it. And they're not doing it
I like
anymore.
that game a lot.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Bungie announces a partnership. Bungie is partnering with Chinese tech giant NetEase for its future projects. The partnership is designed to help Bungie become an entertainment company where it can explore new directions and build new worlds. Those were in quotes. NetEase operates Overwatch and World of Warcraft in Chinese markets and operates some of China's biggest PC-based online games. Sounds like they're trying to bring Halo to China.
Well, here's my question for you. I mean, this sounds like it's... I mean, is it that simple to you? They're just trying to tap into another market?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I've just been thinking about how Destiny 2 has been doing in the age of Battle Royale. It's like when it came out, it seemed like Destiny 2 was a huge success.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know that we call Destiny 2 a success anymore.
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding with Halo,
nobody talks about.
Or no way, yeah, this is Bungie. Dang it. For some reason, I still see Bungie, and
I understand.
Halo. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, they had their big reveal today for their DLC. Did you put that on here?
No, I kind of.
Well,
tabled it for
FYI,
next week.
folks, Forsaken was announced, which is the fall DLC for expansion, the big year 2 expansion. I guess that's on the path of what was the one? The Taken King.
Yeah,
I guess
that's what it seems like.
Yeah, that's what it does seem like. I mean, to me,
does it get Sean Haywood back? That's the question.
If it's, like I said, if it's the idea here with this partnership is, like I said, is to say, I don't know what their reach is as far as what they allow and maybe some of the controls they're allowed for Chinese gamers, just because there is a lot of hacking and all that. They might be very restrictive of what they allow. So maybe that's why they have things like NetEase, is to let people freely go in there and it'd be like, look, we're giving you the software and all that kind of stuff. You handle that stuff because you're much more in tune with what's going on in your side of the world than we do.
Yeah.
They definitely know. Yeah. They, I know, our hardcore friends that play Destiny, like there's a group of 3 there's been a group of 3 that I would say I always have associated with Destiny. Sean's good friends with them too. And 2 of the 3 had come over to Fortnite and had been loving it. One's still, I think, playing it, but the other one's gone back. And the one who never got into Fortnite, who had been playing God of War actually with me, he's hopped back on. They've all been doing the latest update for Destiny. It came out last month. So, I mean, it's there. The question is just like how I expect it will be like any other, like a Warcraft game expansion, like where you see the bump when it comes out. The question is, how big is the bump and how long does the bump last? Mm-hmm. Because when Taken King came out, I think that was what cemented to people, no, this is a real franchise right now. This is the biggest thing going on at the moment, because everyone bought that expansion and people kept playing it and kept playing it and kept playing it. And then people like myself, even, who didn't really love the initial Destiny, came back and were like, this is so much better than what it was before.
I didn't know you went back for Taken King.
I did. I that was the one thing I enjoyed the end game for was Taken King. I didn't go crazy for it, but it's still a lot better. Pokemon on Switch. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee have been officially announced by the Pokemon Company and Nintendo. This pair of games is coming to Nintendo Switch on November 16th and are not considered part of the core series, but share many elements with them. The first generation of Pokemon from Where's the thing? There. Pokemon G will be transferable via Bluetooth to these Nintendo Switch games. In addition, these games will feature new Pokemon that have never been seen before. In addition, the Pokemon Company announced that the next core Pokemon game will be released on the Switch in late 2019. Quote, now today I can only tell you of its existence, but it's another game we're pouring all of our creativity into, according to longtime Pokemon director Junichi Masuda. Junichi?
Not too bad.
I feel like I said it right. Junichi?
Junichi.
No. It's Junichi.
No, it's not. Not even close.
I looked it up.
But would you believe
in the Chris Almanac?
But would you believe when these games were announced for this holiday? Nintendo stock went up.
I'm sure they did. Anytime there's a Pokemon game, they're like, "Ooh, Pokemon."
That's Nintendo.
Yeah, I was
only kind of.
I didn't quite understand. So they're kind of like Pokemon Go, right?
Mm-hmm. They have a lot of main core.
So here's the one thing.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah, like this is maybe if one of our listeners has been more tuned into this.
Yeah.
Pokemon Go is about going and exploring everywhere, right? You know, to get I use my phone and I walk wherever.
Yeah, I see it as a hybrid between
am I walking
Pokemon
around
Go
my house
and a core game.
Yeah, I'm like, that's the thing. I'm like, do I have to walk? Am I limited to my Wi-Fi range basically, or are they expecting me basically to take my phone and turn it into a hotspot or something?
No,
to go explore
I
the
think
world?
the game is. I think the game has the. I think it. You don't. It's
discovery.
It's not. It has the discovery in the game itself.
Gotcha.
It's not going to be. I mean, it's going to have opportunity to link up with other systems, things like that. So it's going to have local and co-op. But all I can say is, BK, if you're listening, when these games come out, we're going to need you to come on board and tell us about it.
Denied.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
I will review these games.
Well, these games
and
are
I will
be,
review them alone. Oh,
Sorry.
Thanks for the update.
These games are going to be huge. I mean, they're going to make the Switch. I predict make the Switch get up to 30 to 40 million.
Dear Lord,
sales by the end of this year.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely need it because old PlayStation, they've kind of been PlayStation lately, haven't they?
It's not a ground pound.
Yeah, but
they're winning the months, but as far as individual console sales, Nintendo's coming out on top.
Shame.
Because PlayStation has multiple versions of their console, and when it comes to the actual, it's a little bit of a distinction without a difference, but they're still doing very well.
Fortnite on Switch. Fortnite on Switch has been discovered on a Korean ratings board website, lending more credibility to a recent leak. The application for rating has apparently been provided and approved. The original leak came from 4chan with a document featuring Fortnite along with several unannounced titles allegedly coming to Switch.
I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean,
if it's on mobile, there's no reason it can't go on Switch.
It's like, oh, look, another platform for us to make more millions of dollars on. Yeah. Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Question is, how's the online?
Yeah, really. That's gonna be like, I guess. Let's just say
this is Fortnite, but it's not Battle Royale. It's just the main game.
Let's just say you may want to stick to solos if you're gonna play Fortnite.
Don't say solo
Royale.
Too soon.
Great movie. By great I mean okay. Mega Man 11 release date. Capcom has announced that Mega Man 11 will be released this fall on October 2nd. Another game running from
out of
Red Dead Redemption 2. Huh.
Not even in competition. Come on.
Obviously it is. The game will follow the same stricter as the original games, but will have a new cartoonish anime feel. In addition, Nintendo's announced a new Mega Man amiibo will be launched alongside with the game. In the US, there will be an amiibo edition that will include the amiibo and the game. The game is coming to Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Day one purchase for me, obviously. I hope everybody who's played it says that this is on the right track. This is not Mighty Number 9.
I hope it's good.
But speaking of games that should get out of Red Dead's way, there's one game out there that could be coming out this fall that shouldn't worry about it.
Really?
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, to an extent.
Because one,
I think those people are completely different. Yeah.
Well, that's part of the point.
Yeah. I'm going to need you to move that water again, John, so I can
sorry.
read. You know why?
Because something this week.
Yeah, because finally this week.
Oh.
Finally this week. A new job post sheds light in darkness. Here is a recent listing that was posted recently.
That's redundant. Isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, come on, John. Quote, the minions of hell are growing stronger.
Can you read it with your...
The minions of hell are growing stronger. We're working on a new, unannounced Diablo project. Are you skilled at dungeon artistry? Come work with us, and together we will build something exceptional. Our team of talented developers is growing. Our backgrounds are diverse, but we all share a real passion for what we do. We believe that if you're looking for a tight-knit crew that celebrates self-expression and embraces collaboration, we might be a phenomenal fit for you, end quote. The role being recruited for is a posting by Blizzard and is for a dungeon artist, thus seemingly confirming that Diablo 4 is a real thing. I think pretty much Blizzard said, yeah, it's confirmed. I would
the question
suspect
is how soon?
I would suspect we will see if they're putting this out there now. My suspicion is that BlizzCon this year we get our teaser.
Just at BlizzCon, not at E3?
And they don't ever go to E3.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they're like, look, we're Blizzard. We don't need you.
Them
we literally
Rockstar doesn't go to E3.
Rockstar rarely. Yeah, if Rockstar showed up to E3, that would be the biggest surprise to me.
Yeah.
You know, and to be fair, they don't need to, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're them,
yeah, sure.
It's like they're like literally everyone's like, wow, look how good these trailers look. I can't wait to see gameplay. And you get news. It's like, oh, by the way, 90% of this is like in-game engine. So, man, what are you gonna do?
It's gonna be a great E3.
I am really looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm going to see The Dead here Friday night with my sister. A little pre-birthday bash, and I'm rushing home.
Is that a band?
There's this thing called the Grateful Dead, John.
Oh, sorry. You could have said the Grateful Dead.
Well, it's not technically the Grateful Dead. It's the surviving members of the Dead that have not retired. One or two retired. So it's them, and like they have John Mayer who plays Jerry Garcia's parts now. So I will go watch them jam it out, and
That's
then
a nice present.
And as
wait
John,
till you see what I give you.
As John watches Penny, hope you remembered. He offered to do something for that. And then I will rush home on Saturday morning so that I can start my E3 popcorn and start watching all these press conferences. Hopefully Anthem will be on there and EA will not blow it.
For sure. Anthem looks
coming this
really
year.
good.
Loot Box, the game.
Loot Box, the game.
God,
that's amazing.
All right, you want to do some emails?
I guess.
Okay. Electronic emails from the future.
That was good.
Yeah.
I was like,
that was my Sean.
It's like Sean was here.
Yeah. You're going to love it when I put up there tonight. This week, Chris and Sean talk about.
Yep. I know you're going to do it again.
No.
Because you hate me.
Well, you know, I don't put your names on there unless you actually play the game. So. I mean, it just makes sense. Like, right? Like, you know, Chris and Sean did this because we actually like went and did this thing. Versus when you don't. Man, this thing is just okay. There we go. If you want to write your thoughts in to Weekly Games Chat, you can do so by emailing us at weeklygameschat@gmail.com, just like Dylan did. He says, first off, you tell this. Guess who's back again? Richard's back. Tell a friend. He says, what crack-a-lackling, my deplorable degenerates. This is your Oklahoma Dylan getting all up in the email section once again. And I mean, like, really up in there. I finally finished the Disappointed Father Simulator of 2018, aka God of War, and can't stress enough just how great it was. And that reveal at the end had me giddy as a schoolgirl.
It was awesome.
Definitely wanting more. Again, much like a schoolgirl in some of your favorite movies. Wait. Okay, I see what we did there. Anyway, I fear that I'm running this week because there was a grave mistake made during your last episode. John, well, speaking of mistakes, spell John correctly, Dylan, made a reference to the entity known as Mr. David Hogue, claiming that he never looked similar to an android. Or that he looks similar to an android. I'm running in fear of what this colossus of mainstream media may do to my favorite podcast when he hears such a remark. We know the sway he has with his organization and protests, and I'm afraid of the hellfire he may attempt to rain down upon your heads. So I implore you to apologize to this beloved public figure before the damage becomes irreversible. Of course, I say this all just to look LOL, joking, F that guy. To follow up my rant, my question is kind of random, but I get the vibe that John may be somewhat of a conspiracy theorist. Am I on the right track? Keep up the good work, fellas, and as always, game on. John, do I need to get you a tinfoil hat? Do you believe the world is flat? Did we land on the moon? I don't think so. Russians, right? He doesn't know how to answer this. Keep in mind, you're saying this on the day that David Hogue apparently got swatted.
Well, I haven't read that.
Yeah, he got swatted this morning. Luckily, he wasn't.
I did read that.
Yeah, he wasn't home, luckily, but it did happen.
That's never okay.
No, it isn't.
And I think we were talking about Detroit Become Human.
Yes.
So I don't remember the context, but I guess I don't remember saying it. But I wouldn't worry about David Hogg going after us because he can't tweet out our sponsors.
That's true.
So we don't have any.
That's true.
Yeah. I didn't. That's sometimes I slip political, and I don't mean to. So, point taken.
John, you're avoiding. Are you conspiracy theorist? Did JFK get killed in the grassy knoll?
No, he was in the car.
What about Roswell?
There is a Roswell. What it does, nobody knows. No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I do have some.
I can confirm for that.
I have some crazy ideas sometimes, but no, I don't think 9/11 was an inside job. I don't think little green men died on Earth and we are hiding them in a frozen bunker. I do believe we are holding the Ark of the Covenant in a warehouse somewhere
with top men, as we should, right?
But no, I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
Well, cool. There you go, Dylan. Now you know. Next up, Daniel writes in and says, "Hey guys, I bet you guys just started recording on almost a week ago. I got a puppy. He's 12 weeks old. Maltipoo. Am I saying that?
Maltipoo. It's a Maltese and
a poodle. I guess?
Poo. A piece of poo.
and Pooh Bear. I just got Dark Souls 3 and I wanted to die because of it. Hey, I got Dark Souls Remastered and I've been dying in it. I can't get past the first boss. Hey." Learn how to strafe. That's the first thing I can tell you. Just learn how to strafe. Anyways, I'll get back to you on the animations. Bye. P.S. I was listening to you guys in the background. Let's see. He gave us some videos here. Oh, I don't know how to... Got some leg action in this video, too.
That's gross.
Very,
That's so cute. Is it a boy?
I can't really hear... I hope the sound isn't going through the board. Is it?
No, I can't hear it.
I don't know. Maybe it's just that.
It likes toes.
Let's see. Is it?
Cute dog.
Yeah, it's on there. I don't know. Sounds not really. He's very. Let's see. What's this art video? Oh, this is a time sped up one of him playing. Yes, very, very cute dog, Daniel. Penny is jealous. You know what? Penny had a moment the other day. I was watching a video on Facebook, and it was like a pit was in there. And I swear to God, she figured out it was a pit. Like she was staring at the TV like that. That's a dog right there. That's a real thing. What the hell is going on?
My dogs are like that when they hear barking on the TV.
See, now that always happens. But I always thought like dogs couldn't see images or stuff like that, like on TV. Like I know, was it when they...
Talk about conspiracy theories.
Was it when they look in the mirror... They don't see themselves. I know that. Like because it's like cats have their own, they have the ability to tell it's themselves in the mirror, whereas a dog thinks it's like a parallel universe talk.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You're not saying that they're not vampires.
No, yeah, like it's basically, yeah, it's that whole entire thing of like they think it's
Another dog.
yeah, they think
Gotcha.
that's a creature there. So I don't know if maybe it's the same. Well, I don't know. Who knows? But let's see here. Also, if you want to write us, that's it for emails since we only had 2. Guys, how about we're going to record on Tuesday of next week because we are waiting for, of course, all of the E3 stuff. And John insists that we have to wait for Nintendo because it's going to be the greatest E3 presentation ever. I'm totally making this up, but this is how he's thinking in his mind. He just doesn't want to say it to us. He's like, they're going to announce so much Metroid. We're like, no, he's not, John. But, yeah, we're going to wait till we actually watch everything to record. So do me a favor, everyone. If you're listening, if you made this far, and this is a shorter episode, write in what you thought. Tell us what you liked about E3, what you didn't like, what was maybe your favorite surprise and all that, because, pretty much that's all we're doing next week. The news is, and the subject is E3.
Yeah.
There's no reason to do both. Anyways, let's see here. Let me look at some notifications before we. Oh wait, let me go to my page. See,
This is where we feel
no.
Sean's absence.
Yeah, thanks.
No.
I don't know how this really works, but you can find us on Twitter at Weekly Games Chat. I am trying to see if I can find anything to shout out, but Sean is a lot better at looking at this stuff. I always forget to look ahead. So let me see. Let's see.
I don't see nothing. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I'm not really good at this, but hey, all these people who, let's see. Ooh, Adam Jones. I actually know Adam Jones. He asks, have we played Hello Neighbor on any platform? Is it age appropriate for 9? The trailer is sketchy.
I can tell you, as far as I know, the reviews on that thing is trash.
I'm trying to think.
It's just not, even by my standards, it's not good. It's on, they got pops. But
let me see. Hello.
I don't feel like it's,
wow, yeah.
It's
dang.
it's like 38 on Metacritic for PC and then 42
on Xbox.
It's just not good. And I don't know what I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why it's so bad, but
I'm trying to see if it says what the rating.
It's rated
it's E10.
It's E10 and up. So
I mean, if
that means it's fine.
Yeah, I would think you're going to be fine with that, Adam. Let's see. Julia says, thank you so much for the shout out. Have an awesome Friday and fantastic weekend. Hey, Julia, we will always be glad to give you a shout out. Let's see. Let's see here. Trying to see other things. Vintage Gaming asks, what are chances of us seeing the Square Enix Marvel Avengers game at E3?
That's a good question because
Wouldn't be
nobody's
surprised
talking
to get a
about
teaser, right?
Yeah.
Knowing Square will come out in about 7 years, so.
And Square is doing like a Nintendo Direct style, aren't they? They're not doing a live press conference.
Yeah. Is this? I wonder if this is. If they're saying, if this is separate from the MCU. I don't remember if they said that or not. Because I'll say this: if it's something to do with the MCU right now, I don't see any news coming out. Like the Amazing Spider-Man game is its own contained thing, right? So they can do whatever.
Yeah, I think this is its own contained thing.
If that's the case, then I guess it could come out. I hope for Square's sake that it comes out. That would be awesome. Let's see here. Let me see. What? Oh. I'm trying to look here, see if I see anything else. I'm really just scrolling through. I don't know how Sean mitigates this stuff. Hopefully he checks it way in advance because I am not good with doing this stuff on the fly. I'll be the first to announce that. But that's all I've got this week. If you just started following us or you wrote something direct and you missed it, I'm really sorry. Maybe tweet at us again this weekend, Sean, when he returns. and stop slacking off and going to other places. We'll read your tweets because I suck at it. You can also find us on Facebook, also at Weekly Games Chat. This has been episode 156 of Weekly Games Chat. Did you know that, John? 156 of these.
I can't count that high.
Yeah, if I can just pull out our 2001, no, in like 30 something, I'll tie Cal Ripken. And we can go to Baltimore and we'll have a number ceremony on the wall. You know what? Before we go, I just want to say this. I grew up, before I moved down here, if you didn't know this, I grew up in the Baltimore, D.C. area. I last saw one of my teams that I rooted for from that area win a championship in 1992 when I was Redskin. I was like 9 years old, right? Haven't seen, whether it's the Orioles, I don't root for the Nationals, but the Nationals, the Wizards, and of course the Capitals. Well, my father is a diehard Capitals fan. I'll watch like this. I'll watch like, if they get to Stanley Cup finals and all that and maybe lay in the playoffs. And I can just say this. I'm on the verge, the precipice, John, of a DC sports team winning a world championship. So I hope by the time we record next week, I can say go Caps and congrats to them because they are one win away. I guess we'll find out, I think, not tomorrow, but Thursday. Tomorrow we'll figure out if Cleveland's getting swept. Or if maybe we might have a series that at least goes 6 games. Yeah. Until next time, if you like the show, subscribe to us on Apple services or whatever podcast service you use, and you will get a new episode every Wednesday. If you like the show, make sure you give us a rating, a like, whatever. If you hate the show, give us like a 4-star like. And you will get a new episode every Wednesday. Until next time, I will simply say, first off, happy E3 to everyone.
Indeed.
And second, game on, John.
Game on, Chris.
Game on, Sean, wherever you are.
Where is he?
South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's the bane of everyone's existence. That's where Clemson is. Ugh. Steve Spurrier coached in that state. They worshipped something called a gamecock, and I can say it on the air.
Wow.
I called a game Richard. Your mom's box.
Peace out, everybody. Thug life.